Hey everybody, I'm Rosalyn Dennett, and welcome to Season 4 of Refocus. Each episode, I'm joined by incredible guests from all areas of the music industry for real and informative conversations with a focus on folk. Hello and welcome to Refocus. Our guest today is Jennifer Roe. Jennifer is the Executive Director of Folk Alliance International, known affectionately as FAI, which is an international arts nonprofit and national arts service organization based in Kansas City, Missouri, in the U.S. Jennifer's journey began in Washington, D.C., where she worked on Capitol Hill for the Majority Leader of the Senate before transitioning to serve on a presidential campaign. Jennifer joined the FAI team in 2013, igniting a passion for folk music. With over a decade of private sector experience, she assumed a pivotal role in leading FAI's staff and contractors and overseeing the day-to-day operations, including a key role in orchestrating the international conference. Jennifer channels her political background to advocate for arts and culture at both federal and state levels. She's a strong steward of folk music culture and the connections between FAI's members. Jennifer Roe, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I am well. It's so good to be back with you. Anytime I get to spend with Rosalyn Dennett is magical.
Oh, gee. Well, I want to get right to it because we are in the middle right now of a very cool event called Folk Plus. And I know many people might be aware of the Folk Alliance International Conference, the in-person conference that happens every year. But I'm wondering if you can let us know a little bit about the event that's going on right now that people can access.
Absolutely. So we partner with all the regions, the North American regions and Nordic Folk Alliance to put on Folk Plus. And this is our second year doing it in partnership with the regions. It's an opportunity to find out what we do at all these different conferences. So we have a couple breakout sessions during the day to meet with the regions, some on Tuesday, but then also Wednesday. Today is another opportunity to connect with folks. So there are networking opportunities, there are performance opportunities, and also some webinars that are happening live and some repeat live streaming of things that have happened at our various conferences.
Okay, so I want to dig into some of the programming that's happening today for folks because I think there's some stuff that's being talked about that folks will want to tune in on. But before we get to that, can we take one step back and can you explain to folks who might not be familiar with it what the regions are? What are they and why do they exist?
So Folk Alliance has been around since 1989, and shortly thereafter, I believe in the mid-90s, the first region that developed was the Northeast Regional Folk Alliance. And these are folks that resided in the Northeast part of the United States and wanted to gather in a more focused area. And so that's how the regions developed, where we divided out the United States and then we added Mexico and Canada in there at some point. So these are opportunities for our members to connect with regional organizations. Each region has their own conference and they have their own bylaws. They're all independent nonprofit organizations, but we share membership. So there's a lot of crossover. We also connect with each other on a regular basis, the regions and Folk Alliance and the regions with each other as well. So we're very, very connected with each other. Each region, as I mentioned, has a conference. Most of those conferences occur in the fall from September through November, but the Southeast region just had their conference in May, so last month, and that took place in Owensboro, Kentucky. And they had about 250 folks attend that.
Great. So if I am, which I am, a Canadian member of Folk Alliance, I am automatically then a part of the regions. Can you explain which parts of Canada are a part of which Folk Alliance region?
Yeah.
So starting with like the West, moving east.
So the West is our far west region that goes all the way from Mexico up the California coast to the Canadian provinces just above. So that would be BC and Alberta. And I believe those might be the only two provinces in the Northern Territories.
I think Yukon might be covered.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the next region over is the Midwest region, which we call Farm. And so that's north of the Dakotas.
We have Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Northwest Territory.
And then we go to the Northeast region. And so that goes all the way down to the Washington, D.C. area, up north to Maine, and then over to Quebec, Ontario, and then the eastern provinces as well.
Great. Yeah. So probably none of it might be covered in that. And then we would have, yeah, Ontario, Quebec, and then the Atlantic provinces all the way to Newfoundland.
Yep. So we automatically put individuals into regions when they become a member, but you can choose if you want to go to a different region. So if you do not identify well with the Northeast region and you really like the Midwest region, you can choose to become a member of FARB. And what that does is it gives you the ability to vote in their elections. Everyone has a board, but everyone receives a discount. If you're a member of Folk Alliance, you receive a discount to attend all these regions, and you can engage in attending and participating in any region. They welcome you.
Fantastic. I've had a chance to go to some of the regional gatherings. I mean, it's just such a cool way to connect with folks that's a little bit more a little more concentrated. They tend to be kind of smaller gatherings, but I think you can really get a lot done there and learn a lot from.
What I love about the regions is the entry point. It's a way to connect with folks in a smaller scale. It can be incredibly intimidating to walk into Folk Alliance where there's well over 2,000 people and you don't know who your people are quite yet, especially if you're a first timer. So going to regions, again, I mentioned the Southeast had around 250. It ranges from 200 to 500 typically for the region. So it's a much smaller event and easier to connect with people. Many of those folks also go to other regions and go to the international conference. So it's an excellent way to connect with each other and to know who folks are. And so when you go to the international conference, you have a built-in network.
Great. So, as we mentioned, right now, Folk Plus is happening. Let's get into kind of the history of that event. How did Folk Plus come about?
Volk Plus, the first online conference that we had was in 2021. In the middle of the pandemic, it was incredibly successful. We had a few thousand people that joined us. You felt like you were together. We had this little thing called Bramble where we were walking around a forest in a weird space, but it was cool and fun. But it was the middle of the pandemic, and people, that's all we could do. So in 2022, we did a hybrid conference. Our conference was in May that year. And frankly, I don't think it definitely didn't have the same vibe for folks that were online as it did the previous year because our attention as staff were in for the folks in person. So we felt like it was too divided. And so the following year in 2023, we wanted to have a time where our staff could be fully focused on the individuals that had to join us online. So 2023 was the first year that we did Folk Plus. And then last year is when we added the regions to join us in this process. It's been great. All the regions come together and bring their own programming into it as well. So it's not just on the Folk Alliance staff. We're sharing this event together. And it's been really fun to see how the regions have stepped up and owned their space in the Folk Plus environment.
Is this mostly like meetings and workshops, that sort of thing, or are there also showcases involved?
We do have showcases, but they're more in the style that our regions host them. So, for example, we have Performance Lane. So, Virtual Performance Lane is led by Farm, and that was done on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have the Campfire Song Circle led by Far West. Both the Midwest region, Farm, and Far West do these throughout the year. So they're doing their Performance Lane, I believe, every month and the Campfire. So this is something that they host. So we have artists that have signed up to perform during these two different events.
Great. And so how much does it cost for folks who want to tune in today?
You can come in for free if you want to. It's a pay as you can. Any money that you choose to pay is put to the regions directly. So if you want to support the regions financially, please donate.
Fantastic. And if somebody is like, wow, this sounds really great, I want to tune in right now, how do they find it?
Suggest our website, which is folk.org, and you'll see at the top an opportunity to attend Folk Plus. It says register now for Folk Plus. Just click on that button to learn more, and you can easily sign in right away.
Great. We will link that in our notes as well. So while you're listening, you can just head on over to those show notes and click your way in, and you will immediately be whisked off to Folk Plus. I wanted to talk about, they say, what is the thing that they say about politics, money, love, don't talk about them. Anyways, it's a it's a political time right now, especially with the relationship between the US and Canada. That's definitely like an elephant in the room if we didn't bring it up. But I wanted to kind of get into a bit of a conversation with you about it, and also to highlight one of the sessions for people who might be feeling some unease right now with traveling to the US. I wanted to give you a second to highlight one of the sessions going on today.
Yes, today at 2:45 Central Time, we have a town hall that's about navigating US travel and visa challenges for artists. So we have some experts in that space that will let us know what's happening right now. The reality is that things are changing drastically and they're a moving target. So what's happening today may not be the same as what's happening in January 2026, which is when our conference is. What Folk Alliance is doing is that we are involved in a working group that are many of the people that are going to be in that town hall participate and add their value and insight to it. So I attend these meetings on a monthly basis so that I know what's happening at the border, and that Folk Alliance can make sure to let our attendees know what's happening at that moment so that you're prepared. To come to our conference does not require a performance work visa. You just have to have a travel visa. With Canada, that's ESTA, so any tourists can come over, and then other countries may need a B1 visa. But it is not required to have a performance visa. But the border guards don't always know that information. So we have to equip you and provide you with the best information and letters so that when you come over, you're saying the right information. So there's no question of why you're going to be in the US.
Yeah, and Folk Alliance, like historically, will provide, as you mentioned, a letter for international artists. And does the letter kind of say something like, you're not getting paid, and explain that so that they could show it to the border if they
Yes,
need
it
to?
identifies the law that makes it allowable to attend a showcasing conference and to perform at a showcasing conference. So it identifies that law and makes it clear that you're not performing for compensation, that you are not performing and will not be performing in the US. So it is very important that you not perform in the US unless you have the appropriate visa to perform. If you're only coming to our conference, that's all you need. You just need to make sure that you bring that letter, that you're confident, that you know why you're there, and you're attending a professional conference, just like any other industry has professional conference, that you are attending that in your professional capacity as an artist.
As a fellow conference organizer, I really feel for kind of the uncertainty that Folk Alliance must feel in not knowing if a restriction comes up or if things change. And as an international conference, especially in the recent years, there's a big Canadian crew that come down to Folk Alliance, and there's always been such a strong Canadian connection with FAI. So I can imagine that it's hard to be planning ahead when things do feel a little bit uncertain. Is the showcase application period still open?
The showcase application is closed,
Okay.
and we definitely saw a decline in Canadian applications this year. We would typically see around probably 20-21% coming from Canada, and this year we have about 14%. So that's about a 6-7% loss in the number of applicants. So we know and we anticipate that there will be fewer Canadians coming to our January 2026 conference.
Yeah, and I feel like we've talked about this too, but interestingly, similar with our conference, with Folk Music Ontario conference, we also saw like pretty similar number of decline in American applicants to perform, and certainly like a reflection of the times, right? But I'm looking for some words of encouragement, maybe of like, we're still welcome. You love us. You want us to to
Yeah, I
come
mean,
down.
we are. We certainly want our Canadian friends to come down and to participate in our conference. We know that we will be able to provide a safe space within our conference and within the city of New Orleans and our venue. That's something that we're working closely with the Sheridan and with the city of New Orleans as well. Both of those spaces are familiar with bringing guests from outside of the US. We have a good relationship with the state of Louisiana as well. So we definitely want to invite people to join us. But at the same time, we respect decisions that are being made. And we understand that people have to make a decision that works best for them personally, that makes sense for their values, for their safety. If they do not feel safe coming into this country, I don't want them to put themselves in an environment that doesn't feel safe. So that's understandable. And Folk Alliance is here. We're going to be here for a long time, and we will find ways to connect with you. And if it's you not joining us in January 2026, we will make sure to connect with you at a later date or throughout the year in a different way.
And I do want to point out that there is another conference date scheduled for New Orleans because I know New Orleans is a big destination. It's on a lot of people's bucket list for places to go. So, if folks have to make like a difficult decision to not travel this year, can you let us know which year FAI will be returning to the city of New Orleans?
Yes. So we announced a 7-year plan of future conference dates. There are 2 empty
Woo.
dates on the calendar. But New Orleans, we have a 3-year contract with New Orleans. It's 2026, 2030, and 2032. So you'll have the opportunity to come back to New Orleans in 2030 or 32 or both or all three.
And I believe there is an election in between there, right?
I do believe there are a couple elections. The beautiful thing is in the US, the president has a term for 4 years, but our congressional leaders, our House of Representatives, have 2-year terms. So we will have a new election in November of next year for new congressional leaders. And so that includes the entire House of Representatives and about a third of our Senate. So we will have a new Congress. I am confident of that. And I'm hopeful that as things shift in the US, as was mentioned at the beginning, I started my career on Capitol Hill. I worked for a senator. I worked on a political campaign. So this is something that personally I like to track. I probably listen to way too many podcasts about politics. It's probably not healthy, but this is a passion of mine. And I do feel optimistic that when we start to get into the election season, which will be at the end of this year, next year, that we will have to see some changes happening because these people want to be reelected and they need to consider what their constituents want. And definitely by the time we're in Chicago, which is January 2027, we will have a new Congress in place at that point. And I'm optimistic that we'll see some of these orders that are really don't reside at the authority that is being given at this point to our current president. We'll see some of those things being taken away and given back to the real ownership.
Yeah, that's hopeful, especially, in the context of Canadian attendance at the conference. Chicago is super accessible from most major Canadian cities. It's really easy for folks to get to. So, if they have to miss a year, they can make a triumphant return and at Chicago with easy peasy, probably a direct flight. Oof. It'll be
Yeah,
so
if there
good.
isn't a direct flight from your city to Chicago, then you live very rural and there isn't a direct flight to anything but maybe one city in the whole US or in the
Yeah.
whole Canada, maybe at that point. So,
Yeah, very possibly. Well, that's exciting. Has FAI been in Chicago before?
no, I don't believe
Yeah.
we've ever been to Chicago. I'm really excited about Chicago for the main reason of being able to get everywhere. It's an extremely accessible city. I think it will be an opportunity for us to grow our international attendance as well outside of North America because it's easy to get to from Europe. Here in Kansas City, which we've had our conference here very successfully for many years, there is currently occasionally one flight to Toronto that's direct.
Yeah,
Not
occasionally.
occasionally,
Heavy on the occasionally.
very occasionally. I just went to Toronto recently for the International Indigenous Music Summit, and they did not have a direct flight then. So that was unfortunate. But that's the only flight that every once in a while, and we don't have currently a direct flight to Europe. So I'm excited about Chicago primarily for that reason. For folks that have always wanted to come, but it wasn't easy to get to, I think it's a great opportunity for folks to learn about us in Chicago.
Great. And for folks that, are interested in maybe they might not be planning to come to the conference this year, but want to support and want to be a part of things. Should people consider a membership? I'm really setting you up on this one. Hot take. What do you think?
Well, I would love to have people be members of our organization. Folk Alliance, membership is something that we're always growing and always finding new ways to engage with our members. So if there's something that you'd like to see us do, please let us know. We want to be able to serve our members. We're not just a conference. A conference is obviously the biggest thing that we do, but we do other things year round. So we want to make sure that we connect with folks and find a way to be more than just a discount to our annual conference.
Yeah. And let's just dig into some of those member benefits for a second, too. Because, as a membership organization, you guys offer benefits to your membership and certainly there's Folk Plus that's going on right now is a big part of that year-round programming. Tell us some of the perks.
Yeah, well, absolutely. The perk of having online or events, like you mentioned with Folk Plus, we do webinars throughout the year as well. We also have great relationships with other organizations where we provide discounts to their conferences, like Folk Music Canada. So we will do reciprocal discounts for other member-based organizations or other conferences. So we have that as an opportunity. We have variety of different discounts from Bandzoogle to celebrity access, a discount on that. And all the regions, you get a discount. There's lessons, music lessons, or throughout various different things. You can go on our website, folk.org, and click on membership and find out about the various member discounts if you want more details, or contact our office as well.
Okay. And it's probably a good time to talk a little bit about the relationship between Folk Canada and Folk Alliance. There is a really interesting connection between what's now Folk Canada and Folk Alliance, in that Folk Music Canada, this is such a web. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Folk Canada is the merged organization of Folk Music Canada and Folk Music Ontario. Folk Music Canada was previously, Jennifer,
A region of Folk Alliance.
Folk Alliance Canada. It was Folk Alliance Canada.
Yep.
So this was before both of our times, and I should, full disclosure to everyone, I'm a very proud board member of Folk Alliance International, going into my last term. Oh, but it's been such an honor to serve the organization. But the Folk Alliance Canada thing was before, and you've had such a long history with the organization as well. This is before both of our times that this kind of came and emerged into its own thing. But I do think it's a very interesting start to that relationship. I wanted to just kind of highlight the friendly and really positive. I always kind of talk about you guys like I'll either say that you're our stepsister, I'll be like, they're, pretty cousin. But there's this really friendly relationship between our two organizations. And I just wanted to highlight that for some folks who may not know some of that.
We do like each other. We like each other a lot. We go to each other's events and we support each other. I am excited about, especially as you now enter your new organization, just a few months old, really, baby Folk Canada. I'm excited for what the future looks like with our relationship to each other and how that can evolve and become even more dynamic than what it is now.
We received our official stamp of approval on our articles of amendment and the things that, like the legal documents that to become Folk Canada, we received while we were at the Folk Alliance International Conference us here in Montreal, and got to do we were part of the opening ceremony and got to do, be a part of the opening remarks and do a little launch party there, which was just a ton of fun. And we've always had a good relationship, but it's been really amazing to see the different ways that we can work together. And, whether it's doing showcases at each other's events or doing, partnering on different things, just showing up and being present, it means so much to us to be involved in each other's orgs.
And what I'm excited, this year, again, we know that there will be fewer Canadians that attend our New Orleans conference. And I think what highlights to me is the importance for Folk Alliance to show up in Canada. We will absolutely be at Folk Music Ontario in October. As I mentioned, I just got back from Toronto, and there are other opportunities where we want to show up and make sure that members of our staff and board, which is you and other, Tina Rosalyn as well from Canada, but just to physically be there and know that we're still around, we're still friends, we're still the beautiful cousin south of you, and we consider you to be a beautiful cousin as well.
Oh, thank you.
So we're going to make sure that we maintain a connection.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. And yeah, definitely if you're interested in learning more about Folk Alliance International, obviously there's the website, but you do have a lot of great ambassadors in Canada for the organization as well. So yeah, if you're interested and want to talk to a Canadian that's been involved with Folk Alliance, there are Canadian contractors and folks that have been on staff at FAI. There are Canadian board members of FAI. So, feel free to reach out to me or anybody else at Folk Canada, and we can put you in touch with some of the other Canadians that are involved with Folk Alliance International if you want to gain that perspective. And also, I feel like you have like an unofficial and honorary Canadian on your staff, Alex.
Yeah, so Alex spent his years at McGill and loves Montreal and definitely considers that a second home. But yeah, as you mentioned, we do have contractors that have supported us for many years and will continue to do that work over the upcoming year. And we're excited, always excited to have our Canadian friends join our team and be part of what we do.
And so, for folks that are interested in the conference, can you tell us a little bit about, you mentioned January, New Orleans, but can we just dig for a second a little deeper into the exact where and when?
It is in New Orleans, down at the Sheridan on Canal Street. So it's right in the middle of New Orleans. The dates are January 21st through the 25th. We are opening up our registration on July 1st. So it's coming up real soon. And we will have early bird pricing available for our members at that point. So you do have to be a member in order to register at that early rate.
And why wouldn't you? Unless you just hate money.
I know. Members receive a significant discount to attend the conference, so there's no reason for you not to become a member. We really want and incentivize our membership because we want people to be engaged with the organization year round and not just during the conference.
Great. And for anybody listening who has never attended a folk conference before, what kind of folks attend? Who shows up at a folk conference?
So a folk conference is anyone that works in the folk music industry. So that is everyone from the artist who's on the stage to the people that support him or her getting on that stage. So it's our agents, our managers, the publicist, and then the venue owners, the concert series. It's the DJs that play music on their radio. It's the press that do reviews. It's that whole ecosystem. It's incredibly important that everyone is a part of it, from the record labels as well. So during the day, we have professional and development opportunities and where folks can attend workshops and panels to learn more within their specific area of interest in the industry. And in the evening, we have our official showcases, and then late night, our private showcases. And then throughout the conference, there are many opportunities to network with each other.
Great. And let's say I'm not necessarily a professional in the folk music industry, but I'm a fan or I'm a passionate supporter of folk music. How can I get involved?
We certainly have individuals who attend the conference as a fan. I will say a lot of those fans end up being a host of house concerts. So we see that overlap of people that want to provide a service and have the space available to host artists in their home. We have fans that choose to come as volunteers. We need well over 200 volunteers to make this event happen. So that's an incredible way for us to have you involved. And if you volunteer your time, you get a comp registration to the event. And so we need those people to enjoy their time at the conference and then also help us do critical work during the conference.
Yeah, and I want to echo that about volunteers because it's such a fun way, especially if you're a first timer at a conference. It's just such a fun way to get involved because you get a crew. Like you walk into this space where at Folk Alliance you're looking at thousands of people at our conference. Around 800, smaller, but still a lot of people. And if you haven't been to this kind of conference before, it can be a little overwhelming for sure. By like volunteering, you get a little team, a little crew of folks that you hopefully feel safe with or get to know a little bit better. You get kind of put into different situations depending on what your volunteer role is, where you get to kind of interact with people in a specific way. So if you feel socially awkward or something, maybe aren't used to networking with folks, it's really cool to get to, let's say you're driving people to and from an airport or whatever the role is. You just kind of get these interactions with people that helps get the conversation started and helps you to feel a little bit more comfortable in the space. So yeah, highly recommend.
I would say that so many people that have been in volunteer positions have said exactly what you said. It's a great opportunity to connect with people, especially in a really large space. Folk Alliance also has networking opportunities before our conference that I would highly suggest people connect and participate in. Because again, like if you don't know anyone and you go into that space, it can be challenging. So make sure you find some people that you can connect with beforehand and can help guide you through and be your plus one or your person that can make you feel more comfortable in that space. I need that. I've been with Folk Alliance for over 13 years or 12, I don't know how long, maybe 12 years. But, I know a lot of people, but still going into these conferences can be somewhat overwhelming at times. And just to find an anchor person that can help you navigate the space and how you spend your time is incredibly helpful.
Yeah, there's a lot of intentionality put into the programming with that in mind for folks. So, there's first timers orientations, there's like in-person gatherings, there's first timers, private showcase rooms. There's all sorts of ways that Folk Alliance is thinking about that experience and really helping folks navigate it. So props to your team for
Thank
doing
you.
that.
Thank you very much.
All right. So as we wrap up here, once again, for the good people at home listening, where should folks go once again to find out more about Folk Alliance International?
We have the best website out there. We are folk.org. So that is the best place to get it.
You heard it here. Definitely go check it out. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming back to Refocus. It's such a pleasure to chat with you.
It's my pleasure.
That's all for this episode, friends. The Refocus podcast is an original production by Folk Canada. Find out more by heading to folkcanada.com/refocus. That's REFOLKUS. The podcast is produced by Kayla Nizon and Rosalyn Dennett and mixed by Jordan Moore at the Pod Cabin. The opening theme is written and performed by King Cardiac, and the artwork is by Jamie Karn. Please give us a download, subscribe, rate, and review to let us know you care, and follow us at folk_Canada on Instagram to submit your questions.